can you briefly just explain what should be done in case there is an instance of cyber squatting that is faced by a business owner? What should his advisor suggest to him?
There are two legal remedies which are independent and which coexist with each other with respect to cyber squatting. The first is your traditional remedy of filing a suit for injunction and damages, by which you claim to be the owner of a trademark or the owner of a well-known mark not registered under the Trademark Act, and you file a suit against a defendant who has taken a name which is deceptively similar or the same as your brand name, which is the trademark by itself. So, for instance, you can then file that suit, restrain them from undertaking any commercial actions on that website. Further, you can subsequently press for damages and receive that. Interim injunctions in such kind of suits, when you have a registered trademark and on that mark, the domain name is basically functioning and it's quite apparent. It's fairly easy to get an interim injunction. Courts view it as a presumption of ownership in your favor when you have a registered trademark. Moreover, there are other ways to even demonstrate the bad faith of the defendant, which, of course, in cyber squatting cases comes across quite clearly, because in kind of cyber squatting cases, they not only try to just sit on your website name. A lot of times they also sell products and services or advertising not related to your goods and services. And even if goods and services in the same line, it all evidences, in a sense, a sense of deception to the consumer. The second legal remedy is dependent on the website being on a top level domain name, which is .com, .org, .net, .edu, for which the domain registrar is ICANN, which is the central repository. The second are the country level specific domain names, such as .in, which is the local domain name for India, so which is handled by the .in registry. Both of them have similar rules for dispute resolution for cyber squatting, by which complaints can be sent to them. They constitute an arbitral tribunal. They consider a complaint, and it's basically also following the same principles of trademark, by which they are seeing that whether you have a legitimate right to that domain name. Secondly, is it confusingly similar? And thirdly, whether the person who does own that domain, which is alleged to be an act of cyber squatting, and does that person have legitimate rights to it? In a sense, if I have a last name which is also a registered trademark, such as Honda, does that obviate the fact that Honda Motors is the registered trademark owner, and I do not have any rights to Honda.in? So in a sense, it looks at all three of these ingredients. And the dispute resolution process is a little quicker when it comes to .in and .com dispute resolutions, and it doesn't require oral hearings. Usually, you just submit a memorandum, and it's fairly streamlined. So, in a sense, that can also be done by owners who find their websites to be squatted by others. Of course, a lot of times lawyering costs by themselves are more extensive than the value of
cost.
The professional fees of the lawyers sometimes may exceed the perceptive value of the domain which has been squatted. So it may be a good strategy for businesses which are starting to, in fact, register multiple domain names in the first day itself, given how low their cost is.
The ICANN or the .in domain name dispute resolution procedure and going to a court for infringement or passing off are entirely parallel proceedings that can be started off independently, right?
Yes, that's correct. So because you cannot, because the thing is, in an ICANN proceeding, you cannot claim damages for trademark infringement. All you can claim is the transfer of the domain name.
What if another person who has squatted on your domain name, he's willing to sell it back to you, okay, and he's charging like a high amount? Now this also qualifies as squatting, right?
Yes, this is in fact one of the best evidences which are used in suits for trademark infringement, as well as in ICANN actions for demonstrating that the other party is acting in bad faith.
So in that case, basically the courts or even ICANN or the .in registry could require transfer of the domain name without payment of that consideration.
Yes, that's correct. Because the minute you're not paying it and you're approaching a court, you're not going ahead and paying that guy. You're
Yeah,
essentially then turning it into a dispute, a legal dispute,
right.
which will be resolved by courts, as opposed to a private transfer by which the other person is holding you to ransom.
So for all those people who want to probably make a lot of money off domain name trading, all they should worry about is probably they should take generic keywords and not, squat on words which are related to well-known brands, because they may intentionally or unintentionally end up squatting. But if they instead took up a generic keyword, in that case it would be very difficult for anyone else to establish a case of
Yes,
squatting. Say,
that's correct. Probably, yeah, because a generic name by itself will not be capable of trademark protection. However, at the same time, I would like to say that practice by itself, by which some individuals and companies look towards having a large bank of domain names
right,
just for the purposes of selling them later, legally questionable, given that a
okay,
lot of times even generic names having trademark protection associated to them at some point of time or not, because colloquially a lot of words in Hindi which have now been translated to English are
right,
trademark protected terms. So you may think it's not protected by trademark, it's a generic term. It may gain a status of a trademark going forward in time, because the thing is you cannot keep trademark protection if you're not actually selling products or services under that name. So you're not actually utilizing it, so you're just holding it in a sense. So you won't have any legitimate rights to latch on to it.